Greetings. Welcome to the Mid-Missouri Kayak Weather and COVID-19 report for February 2021. On Tuesday, February 23rd at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the temperature is 65 degrees. We're headed for a high of 67. Yes, it's crept up. We had 50s yesterday, 40s the day before. The week before that, we were sub-zero. We were down to zero, 5 degrees during the day, 7 to 9 degrees below zero at night. We also had about a foot of snow over about 5 days. 3 inches, shovel, 3 inches, shovel. Yeah, you know, you get the picture. That's pretty much melted. I'm looking around here and I see little scattered pockets where the sun hasn't reached it. But now, tomorrow and the days after, we're going to be back in the mid 40s and low 40s. And somewhere around 40 degrees is a typical temperature for this time of year. Yes. Now, I did this earlier today. I made a non-kayak weather and COVID report video. Welcome to what could be the Mid-Missouri Kayak Weather and COVID-19 report for February 2021. See, I was north of here in Columbia, and driving back, I stopped to look at the river where the bridge crosses. There's a boat ramp right next to and below the bridge, the river bridge to Jefferson City. So I went down there to take some photos because the river is now ice choked. And I wasn't sure if I would get to do a kayak video. I didn't know if, because the small streams and rivers are iced over. The Missouri River is jammed with ice, and I wasn't sure about the Osage, which, as it turns out, as you can see behind me, it's clear. You know, a beautiful sunny day for this, but it's clear. So I went home, I loaded up the kayak. But before that, I took some videos of the river choked with ice. See, because what happened was an ice bridge or ice dam developed about 5 miles north or west of Jefferson City on the Missouri River, right at a bend. It choked with ice, and they called it a bridge because the river was actually flowing under it. And at Jefferson City, the river looked like half its width because both shores were just choked solid with ice, and people would want to walk out on it. And of course, you don't want to do that, but they do. So with this warm temperature, all that ice broke loose. And like I said, I didn't know if this would be clear, but it is. So yeah, I went home, threw the kayak on a car. The first place I went to is called Pikes Camp Access, and it's a boat ramp, a double boat ramp, cement ramp, long, but 20 feet at the bottom was covered with mud, and I'm not going to muck through that to launch the kayak. So I came about a 15-mile drive, maybe 5 miles away river-wise, probably 7 or 8 because of the winding. But anyway, and I launched. No ice. Well, actually, there were a couple of stray pieces. I just saw one floating by about the size of a lunchbox. And there was about a 3 or 4 foot tiny sheet, rectangle sheet, that was floating by the ramp as I was getting ready to launch. In fact, I had to wait for a guy ahead of me who wanted to launch. You know, and he was looking longingly across the river, like he wanted to get to the other side. It's quite a distance because he was, yeah, it was quite a distance for him. Anyway, I launched at Enteroscopy Access. It's called Enteroscopy because there's the Marys River across the Osage River, and a quarter mile down is the Marys River, and it's iced over. And that's typically where I've been going for many years now, going up the Marys River. So I didn't do that. I went upstream on the Osage, and I went 2 miles to a lock. There's a dam that's built all the way across the river except for the last 50 feet, 100 feet, and there's giant cement walls with a channel with the water rushing through it. Actually, the water is rushing over the dam itself because the dam's not that high, but it's rushing over. And I wanted to see if I could get in between those walls. I did that 8 or 9 years ago. After I first moved here in that first year, I paddled upstream to that thing, and in fact, it's a dull roar in the background right now, and I'm probably a quarter half mile away. But the water's higher at this point, and so it's just rushing over. There's no way I could get in there. It doesn't even look like a wall at the top of the lock. Yeah, back then in the day, I think I may even have recorded it on my phone. I'm not sure, but it was a struggle. But I paddled right up in there, and there was a wall ahead of me. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, didn't put a lot of thought into that one, though. But anyway, I paddled as close as 150 feet away, I would guess, and the water was roaring coming across that dam and through that lock. So yeah, kind of cool. Did I mention there are some homes up on the bluffs with some really nice views? Yeah. And imagine having eagles flying by your windows. Yeah. That'd be cool. Wildlife. Well, I saw a bald eagle as I was driving here. And then I got here, and after I was paddling maybe a half a mile, I saw an eagle fly by and go to a tree across the river. Now, the river's a couple hundred feet wide, and this was a diagonal. It was probably 300 or more feet away. And actually, I could see his white head, and I could see another eagle in the tree. So I tried to get out to the middle of the river, figuring I'd be closer and bring the camera up, and as I did, they started to fly away. They did fly away. They started and finished flying away. But I've seen them a couple of times flying back and forth. And in fact, one time I tried to catch them with the camera. We'll see if it came out. But they were above the ridge on that side of the river, the side I'm on now. So they were a good 400 feet away. Yeah. I mean, this is a pretty much nondescript. It's nondescript, but I'm going to describe it to you. Nondescript section of the river. That side over there is probably 30 feet above the river right now, and the bank is a real steep slope covered with riprap and cinder blocks and rocks and stone. It's all been dumped there to preserve that bank so it doesn't wipe out the farm fields that are on the other side of it. This side is bluff after bluff after bluff. Small walls at the top of a large slope. Sometimes you'll see a big limestone wall with valleys, and actually some of them just basically ravines between them. And so I'm just right up along a stone shore here, and I've got a log. It's kind of, yeah. Where are you? There you are. See that log? And way up there in the distance is that dam I was talking about. So yeah. All right. I spent a lot of time talking about the kayak and the wildlife. The little guy wanted to swim across the river, and the eagles. That's all I've seen. So let's get to COVID-19. Missouri is at 475,000 plus cases since the pandemic started a year ago. Cole County is at, I believe, 7,884. Now, we've been creeping up on 8,000 for a couple of weeks now because our cases are 20 or so a day. They're not a lot. It's enough. People are getting infected. But yeah, I mean, the infection rate isn't like it was a few months back when it was 100 to 150 people a day in the county. For a county of 40,000 people, 50,000 people, yeah. So I got my COVID vaccine, first dose, just about 3 weeks ago. It was on Friday. It's a Pfizer. It's offered by the county, and I took it. And now this Friday, I have my second dose, and that'll be done and taken care of. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad to get that out of the way. So COVID covered all those three basics. So let's get to the general stuff. I got a new phone. Well, see, our internet went out 5 times in the last month, from June 15th to around January 15th to February 17th or so. It went out 5 times. There's a temporary cable crossing the street because they never buried it in the summer when they put the temporary cable. And so now, during the winter, snowplows are coming by and wiping it out. And there was one point where it was 3 times within a week. So, and I talked to the city, and they said, hey, that's between you and the cable company. We have to plow the streets. The cable company says, we can't bury it. It's winter. Well, yeah, I know, but you didn't bury it in September, did you? No. Okay. So anyway, I started looking into getting a Wi-Fi hotspot device. The first time that the cable went out, I went to the library and I just used the computer, and the guy said, hey, we've got a hotspot device. You can take it out for a week. It turns out there's a hold list, and it just happened to be on the shelf, so I was lucky to get it. And in the 3 days, which covered the weekend, which had some football and stuff, let's see, in the evening, maybe hour and a half of TV, 8 hours maybe there, plus 10 hours of football and stuff on Sunday. I burned close to 30 gig. So I thought I'd look into it. Well, and it was a T-Mobile device. It worked really well. All I used it for was for the TV and a little bit of surfing on my laptop. So I called T-Mobile, and they said, yes, we have the device. In fact, we have one that's 5G, and you have a strong 5G signal in your area, which I'm very surprised by. And he said, and since you have a 5G phone, which I do now, he said, we have a 5G device. It sells for half price right now, $168, plus a $10 insurance program every month. But the problem is it throttles after 100 gig. Well, we would do that in a week and a half or 2 weeks, So I decided, no, it's just not going to work, because then it goes down to a 480p resolution for streaming, which you can watch, but, if you're paying for high HD, why not get it, with the Fire Stick and Netflix and Disney. So I said, no, that's okay. And he says, well, you could get it, and you could bundle a 5G plan, because you do have a strong signal, not just by your house, but he showed me a map, and I looked at the map on my laptop while he was talking, and yeah, they have a good 5G signal. And the reason I have a 5G phone is I finally gave up on my Motorola Droid Turbo 2. I was taking 15 to 30 seconds for one app to load when I was looking at another, and pages to load, and I just gave up on it. And I gave in to Satan. I bought a Google Pixel 3A or 4A 5G phone. I only got 5G, which just came out, because it had some extra features and I wanted it. I didn't think I'd be signing up for a 5G contract. Well, with T-Mobile, it's $10 less a month. It's only costing me $50, unlimited text, talk, and data. And from what I can read, that only throttles after about 50 gig, which I never use that. And also can be used as a hotspot device, up to 3 gig. So if our power were to go out again, if it snows again and they plow our street, it'd have that so that, if Bonnie wanted to work from home, she could do that, So, yeah. That's what we're looking at. I got that. Okay. The other general, let's go to my go-to default. Ken's Health. Yes. I went to a gastrointestinal. I've been going to a gastrointestinal specialist for a while here, trying to figure out what the cause of my anemia. An endoscope and a colonoscopy did not show. So then I did the capsule study. That was where I swallowed a pill. That was a camera that got to look at my small intestine. When they could see there were some issues possibly, so I should do a double balloon enteroscopy. That's where when the probe goes in, it's got a sheath that goes out ahead of it, and that inflates a tube, and a tube inflates here, so that you've got a larger pocket, and then they could take pictures or even do repair if they need to. So I had it from the top, and I had it from the bottom. Yes, I did. Didn't find anything. So the anemia is still in the air. Didn't have to do any repairs, nothing. So don't know why. But I am, he's referring me to a hematologist. So that's my next step. Oh yeah, and then hearing. Yes, I needed a hearing aid for a while. I knew I had a hearing loss from work, driving the truck. I did a hearing test when I retired and qualified for a disability allotment because of hearing loss in this ear. Well, I've got loss in this ear now. I've always had ringing here. Well, now I've got ringing here if I pay attention, because this one overrides it. And voices can be muffled. TV can be muffled sometimes. So I went to an ENT at University of Missouri, MU Health. Audiologist and ENT. They showed me on a chart scale what my hearing loss is like in both ears. And yes, I'm a candidate for a hearing aid. Now, since I retired, since I turned 65, qualified for Medicare, I've been receiving bi-monthly offers of discounts from Beltone. And, it's still expensive. You're talking several $1,000s. I've put it off. So after this ENT audiologist thing, they offered me a hearing aid evaluation, which as it turned out was a sales pitch, but was with a doctor, and to show me the products, and I got to try one in each ear of a couple of different models, and yeah, there's a difference. It's something I should do. So I have to decide what I'm going to do. It's going to be a high in the ear thing, but I have to decide. Dole out those bucks, I guess. Yeah. But I can still hear that water roaring. Yeah, 0.3 of a mile away. Wow. Okay, well, that's it. This is one of my longest, almost 15 minutes. This has been your Mid-Missouri kayak weather and COVID-19 report for February 2021. Ciao, folks, and vlog on.